We always hear about what happens in a cyber attack. But today, we're pulling back the curtain to understand something way more important: the why. What's the actual strategy behind all that chaos? Let's dive in. So, you see a headline about some massive data breach, right? And it just looks like complete and utter chaos. A digital storm with no rhyme or reason. But is that what's really going on? Yeah, not even close. The truth is, these high-level cyber attacks aren't random at all. They're methodical, they're planned, they follow a strategy, almost like a grandmaster playing a game of chess. And that gets us to the heart of it: the attacker's game plan. See, every sophisticated adversary has an objective, a goal they're trying to hit. They're not just banging on keyboards hoping something breaks. They're executing a series of deliberate moves to get exactly what they want. Okay, so how do we actually talk about these goals in a way that makes sense? Well, in the world of cybersecurity, and specifically inside the MITRE ATT&CK framework, we have a precise word for this. It's called a tactic. So what's a tactic? Just think of it as the adversary's immediate goal. It's the why behind a specific action they're taking right now. For example, if their ultimate mission is to rob a bank, a single tactic might be get inside the vault. It's not the whole shebang, but it's a critical milestone they absolutely have to achieve. And the MITRE ATT&CK framework itself says it perfectly. Tactics represent the why of a technique. Now, this distinction is absolutely crucial. The technique is what the attacker does, the specific action. But the tactic, that's the reason they're doing it, the goal they're trying to accomplish with that action. All right, I get it. This can still feel a little up in the clouds. So let's bring it right down to earth and really separate the goal from the action. This is the absolute key to getting a grip on this whole framework. Okay, check this out. This lays out the difference perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the tactic. That's our why. Let's say the goal is credential access. Simple enough. Now, over on the right, you have the technique. That's the how. How are they going to get those credentials? Well, they might use a technique like brute force, just guessing passwords over and over. Or maybe they'll use input capture to sneak a keylogger onto a machine. See? The tactic is the goal, the technique is how they get it done. So you might be wondering, just how many of these goals, these tactics, are we talking about? It feels like it could be a million different things, right? But it's not. MITRE did this incredible, groundbreaking work of mapping out the entire attacker playbook. And honestly, the number is going to surprise you. 14. That's it, just 14. Think about that for a second. Every single major goal an attacker has, from the moment they try to break in to how they move around inside a network, all the way to stealing the data, it all falls into one of these 14 categories. This is an absolute game changer. It takes something that feels infinitely complex and boils it down to a list you can actually understand. So what's the big deal about this list? Why does it matter so much? Well, because it gives the defenders their own playbook. It's huge. Instead of just frantically looking for random bad stuff, they can start thinking strategically. They can see an attacker using a discovery tactic and think, okay, what's next? Probably lateral movement. It totally flips the script, taking security from a reactive guessing game to a proactive, smart strategy. And that really brings us to the most important part of all of this: how knowing the why completely changes the game for the good guys, the people who are defending our networks. Look, once you understand an attacker's goals, their why, everything changes. You're no longer just putting out fires and cleaning up messes after the fact. You start thinking like a strategist. You build defenses designed to block specific tactics. You hunt for the techniques that lead to those tactics. It turns cybersecurity from this frantic game of whack-a-mole into a calculated, deliberate strategy. So let me just leave you with this one thought. If you have the attacker's playbook, if you know the 14 fundamental goals they are always trying to achieve, can you get there first? Can you build a defense that sees their moves coming and beats them to the punch? That is the power of understanding the why.